the radical perspective I'm advocating, multitude already is an effect of the inconsistency of the one with itself, of the fact that the one cannot coincide with itself. Or to put it in a slightly different way, we do not have some primordial polarity, like masculine, feminine, light, darkness, and then we can play all these New Age agnostic games of how in our era we put too much accent on one pole and we have to reestablish the balance, like we are too rational masculine, let's put more accent on the feminine emotional side, whatever. No, it's more radical. It's as if, as Lacan puts it, the binary signifier is primordially repressed, which means the second element is always missing, and this lack of the counterpoint, we have one, but we don't have the accompanying other. And this original imbalance then sets in motion the generation of multiplicity. Again, an extremely simple example from one of the early movies by Woody Allen, I think it's Love and War, a kind of a parody on Tolstoy, where, again, the whole movie topic focuses on topic of Tolstoy. So, of course, our first enigma is here, where is Dostoevsky, the other natural supplement to Tolstoy? There is no Dostoevsky, so what happens in the movie as a kind of a return of the repressed is that in one wonderful short scene, when two main characters talk with each other, all the big titles of Dostoevsky novels emerge. Like, do you know what happened with that idiot? Ah, you mean one of the Karamazov brothers? Yes, he did his crime, it was punished, then he went underground, turned into a gambler, and so on and so on. So, the lesson of this is, ontological lesson, is one cannot coincide with itself, pure difference. Because of this pure difference, as a secondary effect, the multitude explodes. So, again, against the usual reproach, is this not idealism? I would say that today it is rather idealism which is materialist. Today's opposition, I'm tempted to claim, between materialism and idealism is that today's idealism, or rather spiritualism, clings to this famous density, inertia of experience, of matter, of earth, of the stuff. No wonder that the greatest, arguably, spiritual movie director, the Russian Tarkovsky, was at the same time practically obsessed by the topic of inertia of matter, density of matter, matter in decay. In his films, when heroes are praying, they don't pray looking upwards. They pray by sometimes literally immersing their heads into mud, with close contact with earth. So I think the thing to do today is to oppose to this kind of spiritual materialism, the pure formalism of true radical materialism, which is why, for me, quantum physics is ultimately a deeply materialist theory, where you don't need any positivity of matter. You can do everything with purely formal oscillations and so on. So again, back to this central insight, that difference comes first. Difference, how to think a difference which is prior to the elements it is the difference of. Immanuel Kant, in his in his early writings, introduces here a crucial distinction. A very strange but clear distinction. A distinction between negative judgment and indefinite judgment. That is to say, as Kant puts it, it is not the same thing to say you aren't human, and to say you are inhuman. If I say you aren't human, it simply means you are external to humanity. You are animal, divine, whatever. It's outside. But if I say not, if I, as Kant puts it, if I do not simply negate a predicate, but if I affirm a non-predicate, so again, if I don't say simply you aren't human, but if I say you are inhuman, it means non-humanity, an excess over humanity, but an excess which is inherent to humanity itself. To give you another example, which will make it clear, let's just think about Stephen King, horror novels, the well-known category of the undead. We can feel the difference. If I say you aren't dead, it's not the same as saying you are undead. If I say you aren't dead, it simply means you are alive, and nothing more, nothing mysterious. But as every reader of horror novels knows, if I say you are undead, it means you are the living dead. You are alive precisely as dead. Immanuel Kant's point is that human freedom has exactly such a status. It's something which is neither nature, animals are not free, they are enslaved to their instincts, nor culture. Culture is already symbolic law, symbolic regulation. But the conclusion to be drawn from Kant and consequently from Freud and Lacan is that what cultural symbolic prohibitions try to regulate, to master, to dominate, to domesticate, whatever you want, is not directly nature, natural instincts, but it's this zero-level inhuman excess, to use Lacan's pun, the extimate kernel of humanity. The inhuman dimension in exactly the same sense in which we talk about the undead. Not inhuman as external to humanity, but a monstrous excess or some radical wild freedom which is inherent to humanity itself. Again, we have this paradox that the difference between nature and culture is a level of its own, is neither nature nor culture. It's some kind of crazy excess. So what would then a politics of pure difference be? Well, first, per negationem, what it would not be. It would definitely not be what emerges today more and more as the ultimate horizon of the political, the so-called identity politics, or more broadly, the politics of recognizing the differences, of tolerating differences. What is for me problematic in this multiculturalist, tolerant politics and so on, it's not just the vulgar fact that they effectively, even if they deny it, neglect economic struggle. It's the very logic of the struggle, the logic of multiculturalist struggle, of anti-racist struggle, of sexist struggle, struggle against sexism, is again the logic of recognizing differences. For example, in anti-sexist struggle, the goal, of course, is not, even for radical feminists, I don't know, to kill, to annihilate men. It's to establish an open field within which both sexes, all different sexual positions, sexual identities, cultural identities inclusive, will be allowed to thrive freely, so that one will not articulate itself at the expense of others. Again, in the anti-racist struggle, the ultimate horizon is that of opening up the space for differences. Each ethnic group, religious group, cultural group, way of life group should have the freedom to freely deploy, articulate its potentials, its position. But this conceptual field, the field of openness towards the other, of tolerating, allowing for differences as the ultimate ethical horizon, this, I claim, should not, cannot be our ultimate horizon. Because we can immediately see that, to use the simplified example, class struggle. My God, the ultimate goal of the class struggle is not for proletarians to allow the bourgeois and bourgeois to allow proletarians to freely deploy their own potentials, and so on and so on. It's an antagonistic struggle. The goal is not to let the multitude be. The goal is to annihilate the enemy. It's a totally different logic. It's the logic of animosity. It's the logic of antagonistic struggle, which also involves a totally different notion of universality. The notion of universality here is no longer universality as the encompassing medium container of the plurality of positions, sexual positions, cultural positions, whatever. No, universality is here the universality of struggle